hear the thunder we've made. Seminole sideline, 365. AB and the old man, we ride. More ball, oh yeah, that's right, pride live. Seminole sideline, 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. It's me, KB, and the old man, and we got the latest and greatest from the transfer portal. We're going to give our reactions, give our insights, if that actually matters. But we're going to talk about it, give our thoughts on what's been going down the last couple of days of the portal. If you missed our day one show, please go back and take a look at that, see what you think of that. And as you're watching this, drop your comments of what you've been hearing in the transfer portal. If there's any breaking news, anything you'd like us to cover, or drop your thoughts on what you've seen so far, the moves Florida State's been making, specifically the visits that are the prospects that have come in to visit us, who you think's a take, who you think's not a take, and what you think of the staff and what they're doing so far to land these new recruits. So we'd love to see those, whether you're watching this live or even the next day. We appreciate the comments and the feedback. Old man, before we go into it, is there anything that you want to discuss, or should we just dive right on into it?
I want to show you my new shirt delivered to me through the mail by my co-host, KB. Check this out. How do you like that, KB?
It turned out good. It was a late Christmas gift, and it turned out.
Bobby Bowden, man. What a great shirt. Look at this guy. Bobby Bowden, the greatest coach in Florida State history. And look what else I got on the back wall. Check that out. Is that the coolest thing you've ever seen? That's cool.
I'm jealous I didn't get one for myself now. The funny part is I couldn't even order one of those in America. It came all the way from Turkey, which is the greatest part.
How the hell that thing arrived here safely? Because it's fragile.
Yeah.
It's very fragile. But check that out. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You know?
It came out really good.
I'm running on a new camera here.
Yeah.
You know,
you should post a picture on X later if you haven't, because it looks really,
Yeah, I will.
I think that does it justice. That doesn't.
No, I mean, there's some reflection off the gray wall. I have kind of a gray wall back there. But I'll post it on X, and we'll show you our X address if you guys haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
And I'm looking here because I'm used to looking here, and my camera's up here now. So, I'm playing around with some new stuff, The old man is staying current. But no, I'm ready to jump in. I appreciate those nice holiday gifts. And that thing is cool. I see a reflection on some other stuff I have here, and it looks even better on this reflection up here. But I will post those. I'll post those out there. I sure will.
Yeah. So let's dive right into it then. So obviously, in general, there has been some commitments out there. None of them, one for Florida State that we talked about on day one, where we got the defensive back out. I guess technically it was day two out of USA, or University of South Alabama. So I think
South Alabama.
Let's start with him and getting thoughts there. Because I saw Cromartie had some initial thoughts on why are we taking the kid from USA, and then he was like, "Oh, I watched his tape and he's good now." So I think the fan base was a little mixed on him. Nehemiah Chandler is his name. I think there's good upside on the kid like this with 3 years remaining of eligibility with a guy like this, and he's got good experience that comes along with it. Old man, for this being the first commitment for Florida State, do you have any thoughts on Nehemiah and what he could bring to the defensive back group, especially a group now that seems like you're bringing back your key contributors from last year? Any thoughts on him?
Yeah. I think that you're going to need, I don't want to say bodies. He is Nehemiah Chandler from South Alabama. He's a Tallahassee native. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. He is a Tallahassee native. And he went to, and I don't know how many people are familiar with the schools in Tallahassee. He went to, spent, I think, a season or two with Godby High School, which is in Tallahassee, and then Wakulla High School. Mm-hmm. He's actually from Jacksonville, so he played a little ball over there. But, we welcome Nehemiah to the roster and back home to Tallahassee area. I think that was important for him, and it's an opportunity for him. He was first team All Sun Belt, and he does, as you said, has 3 seasons left. Now, here's the problem. The problem is, I think he'll be a good addition to the room. Now, whether or not he ends up being a starter, I think they would like to see him start. But the starts he's had at South Alabama, he did play Tulane. He played. He did play Auburn. He played Coastal Carolina, North Texas, Troy, and Southern Mississippi, which is not that good. So the quality of opponents probably hasn't been what we would call exceptional. But he's played enough people that we can look at his tape, see how he moves, and I think he's going to be a worthy addition. We'll have to see productivity, but his upside, he has 3 years, as you say. So hopefully he'll do a great job for us, and we welcome him to the team. Absolutely. So I don't have any negatives. I can't say, oh, this guy's not going to be any good, or he's going to be all ACC. There's no way to really say that. So I think at this point, we need people in every room. So it's good to have him aboard.
Yeah, I think this is something where you see it as a high upside rotational piece, because he has things he needs to work on, his tackling and sort of his willingness to his willingness to get physical. I think is some of the things they noted on him. But once again, he has 3 years to play, 2 years definitely, and you lost a kid like Kai Bates who wasn't hadn't played yet really, high upside once again, but this guy that has high upside but has experience to go along with it. So I think this is a good replacement for that. A guy that can come in, be in the rotation right away. And you've already seen what he can do on the field. You've also lost Jerry Wilson. And so you're looking for guys that can be plug and play right away, and he fits that mold. So yeah, I think this is a welcome addition to the squad. Absolutely. So let's talk about some other guys. So that's your only commitment as of right now. There has been news that there is Zach Bolstein of 24/7 has logged 2 crystal balls in favor of 2 portal targets. Let's go over who those portal targets are. The first one's going to be Nate Pabst of Bowling Green. He's a tackle. He came in on a visit. He's 6'5", 315. He's got 1 season left, I believe. That is correct. He had a decent pass grade this year. If we look at his overall blocking throughout the season, so if I can look at that, you see he's improved year over year. He had a 70.3 offensive grade this year. Once again, quality of competition isn't super high, coming from the conference he's playing in. But you're looking for bodies with experience and bodies that have shown the ability to play the position at a high skill level. That's not to say, once again, this isn't necessarily getting a guy from the SEC or a high ACC power, but you have to know that you need a lot of bodies that you've brought up before. You're replacing 5 starters essentially on the offensive line
and depth
and reserves
depth.
that allow Lucas Simmons and amongst those guys who have already left the program that aren't expected to be retained. So I think this fits the mold of what you're going to be looking for. That's not to say they may not go out and target key offensive linemen that are coming from the SEC or the ACC that enter. But I think this is a guy that you probably got affordably, not having to break the bank for him, who's looking to take the step up to a power conference.
No, wait a minute. Has he? I'm sorry. Has he already committed to Florida State?
No.
He's visited. He's visited.
Zach Bolstein has put a crystal ball prediction that Florida State will.
Well,
I said that. I put that out there, so we don't need to go back and forth on that. But once again, he is visited Florida State this weekend. He was on the January 4th visit, so he's been to the school. And this is a kid that you should be able to land in a visit. I don't think necessarily he's going to be visiting Georgia and Ohio State and stuff like that. You're probably going to be one of his higher higher offers. And this is someone I would expect to land as well. If you want him, you should be able to keep him. So I don't think we need to dive too much into him. The other one that was on that crystal ball list was Bryant Kennedy. This one is a potential. This guy is based on potential because he doesn't have a lot of burn from his time. I don't believe, or a lot of this like production or high level production. You can see his grades here. He doesn't grade out fairly well, but he's got good size, 6'3", 239, at playing in the SEC. And this is a guy that I believe is just trying to get back in the rotational side of things for a program. As you can see here on the season last year, he only got 176 snaps across the season for Texas A&M, which is a top 15, top 10 program last year with a decent defense. But I think this is a kid who's just looking. He only has 2 years left, which is good for Florida State because if this is a guy that does break out next year or does show promise, you can develop him over those 2 years. But as you can see here, didn't get a ton of on-field time. He's probably looking for that, and Florida State, I believe, can offer him that if he looks like he shows the ability to do that. And they must have seen something if they brought him on campus, and now it looks like they're predicted to retain him. What do you think of a kid like this and for the kind of defensive line side of things?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. He has not visited yet, correct?
I believe he was on the Bryant Kennedy was on the January 4th visit, so he was visiting today.
Okay, because I've been monitoring who the visitors were, and I did not see that he had come in, but I could be totally wrong. I'm trying to keep track because there's a lot of stuff coming and going, and hopefully he has come in for a visit. Because if he doesn't, the guys who don't come in for a visit, there's no sense even really talking about them. And you and I know You know how I feel about, he's expected or the crystal balling thing.
This was here. He visited today. This is a picture.
Oh, he did. Okay, that's good to know. I'll check him off my list here because that's what I'm doing, that he did show up. In fact, no, I'm sorry. I do have him checked off the list. I had a hole below him, which we can talk about. I think they've seen something. He obviously, if he got recruited to Texas A&M, that says something.
Yeah.
That tells me, that they've been doing a pretty good job on evaluation. So that tells me something there. He did get some snaps. He's played some ball, and he's just feeling he's not the number one starter or getting as much. Now, is that a concern that he's not getting that many reps? I don't think so. I think Florida State's going to have to take some chances, and they're going after budget players at this point. So that doesn't mean he's going to be good. Doesn't mean he's going to be bad. But so far, he can't be any worse than what we've had on the edges. We're looking for an upgrade in productivity. And if he comes in here, I think he'll come in here hungry to make a statement. And how many years does he have left?
At least 2. He's a sophomore this year.
Okay, that's 2 years. So I like that upside because when a lot of guys are just one and done, it's a hired gun. So I like the selection. And hopefully they can confirm this guy.
Do you think he's a direct replacement for James Williams? Do you think he is if he does commit?
I don't think he could be any worse than James Williams. James Williams was very unproductive coming over from Nebraska. Tony White knew who James Williams was when he brought him in, and it hasn't worked out. And Stephon, who's the linebacker? Stephon Thompson. Thompson. Stephon Thompson. He didn't work. He's in the portal too. So I think we have equal opportunity with Bryant Kennedy if we can get him on signature.
So just for context, Ryland played in 2 less games than James Williams, and had double the amount of sacks as him.
There you go.
And double the amount of solo tackles.
There you go.
So I'm sold there. As long as you're, and I do still believe, and I don't know that for a fact, but I do think you probably paid a lot of money last year to get James Williams over from Nebraska.
Probably.
I don't think you're necessarily going to be paying the same number for Ryland. I think Ryland he wants more snaps. He wants to show
He
more
wants
what
to
he
play.
because he's got 2 years to show the NFL
Right.
that he has what it takes
Exactly.
to get drafted.
Exactly.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting. If they do land him, I think it could be an interesting. And at 6'3", he's a big kid at his size, and I think that could be an interesting matchup with Desir. Because that is the whole thing. They got to find someone to match on the other side of the edge with Desir. So that will be interesting piece to monitor there. So those are the two that I know crystal balls have been given to. Some of the other visits we can talk about that are happening on January 4th. Let's go back. So let's go back to January 3rd, yesterday. So you had on campus John Walker, the UCF defensive tackle. He had 2 years eligibility. Big production from him last year. 40 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. He came back from an injury. Elite size, some would say, 6'4", 324. I mean, that's a big man in the middle. And something that obviously you got to replace. You got to replace your big guys in the middle of that defensive line because what's his name is out of eligibility. God, why can't I remember his name? But you're losing. God, what's his
Otto
name?
Graham?
No, Daryl Jackson. Daryl Jackson's gone.
Daryl Jackson.
So you're losing your big man in the middle, and you lose KJ Sampson, who would have been his backup, right? So and Jaden, you already lost 2 of your nose tackles essentially. So you are looking for someone to go side by side with Mandrell this year, because I would think Mandrell would be next up in that middle of the line. So they're looking for that next guy. Now, reports indicate that he is going to go on and visit other schools. So they weren't
and they should. He should.
No, if you like a guy, you should get him to commit right there.
No, you're saying from Florida State side they should lock him down.
If you like the kid a lot, you say go visit other places.
Of course,
you lock that kid up.
Of course,
right?
That's what they did to Deuce and Rawls.
Exactly.
They locked them down. That's called the retention piece. If you believe in this a guy that you're bringing in for a visit, you've got to sell him then. It's like selling cars. What do they say? Never let him leave the lot. Never let him walk off the lot. Because when he does, all things can happen. Now, I can see some of the business aspect that these kids are bringing in and their reps are bringing in and their agents saying, let's take another visit. That way we can maybe push the number up a little bit. They're playing the high-low game. It's a negotiation. So I can see it. But if you really like the guy, like you said, KB, you want to show him, we don't want you to leave. What is it you want? Tell us what you want, and we'll tell you if we can do it or not.
Well, and the issue of where he's going next, it's Ohio State. And you can't get, like we've talked about.
I don't know if he's going to.
We can't get into many bidding wars with Ohio State and programs like that. Especially because we have so many holes to fill. So, if he really wants to go to Ohio State and they really want him, I don't think you're going to win that at this point. So that'll be one to monitor. But he had a 70.5 PFF grade last year. He was a high performing defensive tackle. So I think this could be a want for Ohio State. I don't think he'll be a starter at Ohio State. I think he'd be a rotational piece. Potentially at Florida State, he could be a starter on defensive tackle. So it'll have to determine, what does the money look like, and what does the rep count look like? What matters most to him? I think that offer structure is going to be interesting to see what he values more. Is it money and program and or is it, hey, I can go to Florida State, maybe make a little bit less more, but be on the field a lot more? What does that mean to each individual player? We don't know. So that'll be something to monitor with him. Next player from yesterday that came in, Bryant Williams. This is the kid I believe we talked about. They may have been monitoring.
Yes, they like
Louisiana. 11 starts last year. 719 snaps for them.
Big
0
guy.
sacks allowed. Almost 70 PFF grade on the offensive line. Highly productive kid for them. Definitely a guy when you're rebuilding the trenches. This is a kid that it would be great to build around if you're Florida State, and someone that I know that they're probably highly prioritizing there.
He's a tackle, right?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, he is a tackle. He is a big tackle who looks like can play ball, okay? And he's been on the field. He's played decent competition. Okay, it's not playoff competition, but I don't think I want to say we can be picky. I don't think we can be picky, but this guy has what, 2 years left or one?
I believe he has, let me check that. He has 1 year remaining.
Oh, 1 year. So he's one and done. So he's going to come in hungry. He wants to get stuff on tape at a brand level like Florida State, and he can do that here. I think this guy, you talk about crystal ball, I don't do that, but this is a guy I think they're going to get. I think they're going to get this guy, but he is going to get looks. He's probably going to make other visits. Herb Hand would do a great job with this guy, and I hope they can lock Mr. Williams down.
Yeah, like you said, not great competition, but graded out. He graded out as a starting grade defender. It'll be interesting. One of his best games of the year was against James Madison, which is probably one of the best teams they played.
And James Madison had a good defense.
Yeah,
they had a decent defense.
Struggle against Missouri, which is a average to above average SEC team. But once again, we can't afford to be super picky because we gotta refill 5+ spots on the offensive line. So, like you said, you can't go after the top 5 offensive linemen on the portal board. But if this guy, if Herb Hand likes this guy, thinks he can mold him a little bit more and increase his make his technique a little bit better. Maybe hard to do that with a guy who's been playing football for 4 years. But if they
no, you can. These guys have been playing football since they were 6 years old. All right, so it's a motivational thing. It's an attitude thing. Guys when they go to the NFL, they're learning new techniques. They're changing how they do things from the quarterbacks on down. And so, no, if he comes in, and I think guys like this do come in kind of hungry. If he comes in and wants to change, he'll get changed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, it's
no. The question
0 sacks
is
given up. 0 sacks given up is a big deal. I think.
The question is for him or any other player, and I always say this: have you met your ceiling? Have you met your true ceiling of I'm just not going to get any better at this? I don't think that's true. I think Herb Hand is the type of guy can teach you a lot. And if Mr. Williams is out there listening to this program, I hope you'll understand Herb Hand is the real deal, and he can get you the skills you need to try to approach the next level.
Absolutely. A couple of other guys I want to mention that are visiting. JMU safety Tyler Brown was on campus. He's a kid. Obviously, we know JMU had a phenomenal year. This is a kid. I'm very interested in the guys that had multiple years of eligibility because I think those in the portal days, those are special kids because I used to think they were more special because I always think that, you could have them for multiple years, develop them, and that could give you some roster stability. But now it even seems like with those guys, they could even move on from a year to year as well. So even the guys with multiple years of eligibility doesn't really mean anything. But yeah, so it doesn't even give you roster stability anymore. But there could be upside because if you could lock them into, if we start seeing more multi-year contracts, those extra years of eligibility could be more influential. But Tyler Brown was on campus. This guy had 8 tackles, 2 pass breakups last year in 3 games. He was injured, did redshirt, but in 2024 he was a proven star. So this is a guy that you're kind of looking at his 2024 stats because he was banged up last year, and he's trying to come back off of that injury and find a new place. But a lot of schools like his tape. I know. I think places like Colorado and stuff like that. Once again, I don't think this guy is going to be in a top 10 school necessarily land there, but I feel he fits into like where Florida State's going to be targeting. He's going to be ACC, Big 12, or average kind of Big 10 or below average Big 10 or SEC school. And once again, the great thing is you've been able to retain Jabril in your key starters on the defensive backside. It seems like there has been rumors, and these are strictly rumors, that they are fighting to retain Earl Little. It looked like what people were saying is he deleted his draft post on social media, and that has gone away, and there could be back and forth between him and FSU to see if they could retain him.
He's still listed on the most current roster on Seminoles.com, and that's the official thing. Now, you've heard me say, Sometimes I don't know if they're not updating it or there's a legal obligation to keep people on there, but Earl Little is still on the roster officially.
Yeah. So I think it would be, some people love her a little, some people hate her a little. I think it would be a good win if you could retain him. But I think a guy like Tyler Brown would fit well into the rotation again, because you've lost 2 or 3 DBs. Who was it? We lost outside of who was the other DB we lost? Was it Barker or Kirk? I got it.
Barker was one, but I thought I heard
okay.
he was trying to come back or he hadn't come back yet.
Okay.
But
okay.
Barker it was supposedly went into the portal. I can look him up.
And then you lost Edwin Joseph. So you are looking,
yes,
you can see they are trying to replace these guys with kind of somewhat light production. Now, this guy's coming off an injury. You would assume they've done the test. They've kind of done the evaluation to see he's healthy. So yeah, but once again, he's less of a major conference guy, and you would be taking a little bit of risk there with competition. So we'll have to track to see how that one goes with Tyler.
Yeah, one of the things you pointed out an episode or 2 ago was there seems to be this trend of a budget savings 2026 approach when we're bringing in guys from UCF, Louisiana, East Carolina, USF, Bowling Green, JMU. There seems to be a trend to go after more of the needle in the haystack, the undiscovered guys, and there's guys out there. Let's not say there aren't. All right, that doesn't mean every 5-star you bring in or 4-star is going to be a big producer for you. It doesn't pan out that way. So sometimes you bring these guys in, these lower tier guys, and they got hungry. They're very hungry. They're ready to eat, and they're really willing to make a statement, as did Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, and there's others. So I think your point is well taken. And in the DB room, you need some guys. And not only will he play in there, he could play on special teams. So, it could be a good addition.
And I think with that point too, because like you said, they are taking that strategy with a lot of these players. And that's not to say they won't go after some major targets at some of these higher level SEC Big Ten transfers. But I think with a lot of those kids too, is that I think in the age of the portal, some of these kids who have moved around from school to school, they still have that entitlement from high school that they were a 5-star or I was a 4-star guy, and they still want to be treated like that. And they still haven't lost that entitlement. And these guys expect certain things. They expect certain playing time. They expect a certain amount of snaps. They expect and some of these guys that have had to fight at the lower conference levels and had to earn playing time and didn't have the promises out of high school and had to earn the scholarships the hard way and stuff like, or were overlooked by the big programs. Now, when they get the chance, they don't want to waste that chance. So it can, I think, add to the culture of the program of you don't have a group of entitled athletes necessarily. Not to say all athletes who come into big programs have that, but sometimes if you don't evaluate the wrong play, recruit the right players, and evaluate the right players, you can kind of build a culture of that doesn't have accountability, that doesn't have hard work. And I think sometimes we've made the mistake with certain players who and maybe that's why they didn't pan out, because they weren't doing things off the field, and that's why they never got on the field. So yeah, and this strategy may blow up in Mike Norvell's face. It could. But I'd rather guys that had proven production at any level. And let's see if it works out. And we'll get a chance to see if it does.
I agree with you. I think if you looked across the 136 Division I teams there are, I think there's 136 versus 132, 136. One of our loyal viewers out there, you can look it up. My point is, a majority of the players on these teams are not 4- and 5-star guys. Okay? They're 3-star guys, or they're, guys that didn't get much mention. The quarterback at Indiana, Mendoza, he was a 2-star guy. He even laughs about it. He goes, nobody really knew who I was. Yeah, you could say the same thing about an Aaron Rodgers years ago, bounced around till he finally got to California, and took off, and Green Bay took a chance on the guy. So it's really hard really hard to evaluate. But I think there's certain things you have to look at. Is where did the guy play? Has he played at the best competition you can find? And especially important around the offensive linemen, because you see these massive bodies that Alex Atkins used to bring in, but they play at some academy you've never heard of, Clearwater Christian Academy or Clearwater or Largo something academy. You have to look at the schedule.
Yeah.
There's probably 2 teams on each schedule that says these guys, did they play IMG? How did he do against IMG? You don't look at, he played at some other local high school where he just bullied people. And you see that on tape. If that's what evaluators are looking at, they're making a big mistake.
Yeah.
That's where the evaluation piece is so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 3 more kids I want to talk about from the January 3rd visit. So Xavier Townsend is a wide receiver. So we still, we got Deuce Robinson back. We still haven't heard the status of McCoy or Danzy.
McCoy hasn't said a word though, which tells me, and he's on the roster.
Exactly.
So he didn't go
exactly, which is a
he
good
didn't
sign.
go in the portal, which is a good sign.
Yeah, I would say no news is good news from those
Absolutely. Danzy and McCoy, there's been no news like a majority of the roster. There's guys, if you're not hearing from them, now that doesn't mean they won't jump into the portal because they have open windows there to the 16th. But no news is good news.
Exactly. So
they could be, let's say what could be, they could be negotiating with FSU NIL and coaches and the general manager. The general manager, John Garrett, now has a big role in this because he's going to be held accountable as well as Norvell.
Correct.
Is they could be silently negotiating, which goes on between the agent. That's what an agent should be doing for a player. The agent's making the phone call. The agent's going to the meeting to get the numbers right. The player doesn't need to be there. Do you think NFL players are going to all those meetings? They're not. They go to the final meetings. They go when the pen needs to hit the paper meetings. So I would suppose these things are going on just like it was going on for Deuce Robinson, just like it was going on for Jabril Rawls. We don't have access to that information. It's not public knowledge.
Yeah. Xavier Townsend, I think, is a visit that is very similar to the kid out of Virginia Tech that, they had been talking to. Not a kid with high production necessarily in this time across multiple schools, including Iowa State. But he does have return specialties. And that is something we obviously struggled with last year in terms of guys that know how to do something when the ball's in the air, whether it's calling for a fair catch or
make a decision.
Make a decision.
And
we really didn't have any kick return game last year. It didn't seem like.
You can't have a punt returner who's indecisive in making decisions because he has a lack of confidence in catching the ball.
Yes.
The first quality of a punt returner is I can catch the ball anytime I want to.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to think about that.
Yeah.
He has to think about, do I catch the ball? Not if I'm going to catch the ball, or can I, handle it. It's, is this the right place to make it? Let it go or whatever. So
Exactly.
How many reps does he have on punts?
So last year, so you can see over the years at UCF and Iowa State, he's had 66, I think that's returns, or he's had 18 returns overall. And then for punt returns, he's had 48 in his career. Last year, it was a little bit
quality.
less. But he has an average of 9.5 per punt return, yards per return.
Decent.
And on kickoffs, it's 23. So no touchdowns. So I don't think this is going to be necessarily like a dynamic player in the backfield that's going to be running back.
You don't get that many touchdowns on punt returns anyway. So it's can you catch the ball and not fumble it away and turn it over?
Exactly. So, and he only has, like I said, receiving wise, he only has about 200 yards last year.
Okay.
Very little targets last year, and he didn't play a lot either. So, you wouldn't be bringing him in because I think you have your core your core three top receivers set if they retain them. He only
Yeah,
had
yeah.
243
You're
yards
saying
last
they
year.
bring this guy in as a punt returner and as a depth piece as a wide receiver, and he could probably play on special teams too.
Potentially
I
a
mean, in
gadget
terms
guy.
of on kickoffs and stuff.
Yeah, and probably a gadget guy like they did with a
Yeah.
lot of their smaller
Yep.
slot guys. So yeah,
Yep.
I think between him and the kid from Virginia Tech, they're probably looking at both those guys. Probably take one of them, or if they don't like what they hear, what they see, they'll move forward. But
Because
I
right
think
now
they're
we don't have a punt returner, right?
not.
I
well,
mean, a guy that's really that we know they're going to try guys out, obviously.
Correct.
But we don't have a guy that's done it a lot at this level.
It feels like they're recruiting someone specifically to be in this role this year, which I think is smart because they struggled last year.
Smart.
And then there was some update or some visitors strictly for the tight end position. You brought in Rocky Beers, which is a great name, from Colorado State.
Yeah.
This is a kid that definitely has some production to him last year, 388 yards. Big kid, 6'5", 245, 7 touchdowns. Last year was his best year. I believe he only
Decent quality opponents.
Yeah, decent quality opponents last year, as you can see. I mean, he wasn't breaking records receiving wise, but he did more than kind of the same as sort of Pittman did last year. Being kind of a reliable guy to go to. And I think they're trying to, and this is the thing I'm trying to figure out is Landon going to be the guy next year, or are they looking for a physical plot? Because I don't, once again, I think Landon, is this a backup plan for Landon? Or because we talked about it. We said, okay, they're not going to go. It doesn't look like they're going to go and try to retain Pittman because Landon Thomas took himself out of the portal and staying, which is great. I think it's good. I think he has a lot of upside, and I think he has a lot of offensive upside. I don't think Landon Thomas is the best blocker necessarily, and that could be why he doesn't always get on the field. But if you bring in a guy like Rocky Beers, he does feel like a receiving threat as well, which is good. But are you looking for more of that blocking tight end to go along with a Landon Thomas, who's more you see as an offensive threat as well? Is that, do you think, Florida's plan, or they want two dynamic tight ends?
Well, I think each will play a role like a lot of wide receivers do. Certain wide receivers can spread the field. Certain tight ends can pass, catch, and I think it's going to be situational according down in distance. Yeah. And that's not unusual that you see stuff like that. So by bringing a guy in, and that, what else besides Landon Thomas? We have a freshman who hasn't played. We brought, I think, another guy who got hurt. Chase Lofton, got hurt. Chase Lofton, and so we have so bringing a guy in, I think, is smart.
Yeah. And his blocking grades last year, I mean, weren't phenomenal, but they weren't bad either. If you look at his average run block grade was 60, pass block grade was 61.
You know what? 70, and you can teach pass blocking. If that's the guy's weakness, you can teach that. You can teach that. Come on.
Yeah. And this guy's been around too. If you look at where he's been he started out at the Air Force Academy, I believe. FIU, Colorado State. So this guy's been in college football for a while. So he knows how an operation runs. So
I saw that thing on Indiana. Did you see that?
I'm going to bring that up later.
Okay.
We'll get into that later. So I think that's an interesting strategy. So we'll get into that. The other tight end they brought in, because it does seem like they are looking for a guy to match up with with Landon Thomas, is the kid from ECU, another 1-year player. I can't say it. Desiree Riles, tight end. I apologize for that. But he's coming in potentially to visit. He visited yesterday, I believe, from Jacksonville, another local kid. He'll have 1 year, similar numbers to Rocky Beers in terms of yardage, and receptions, touchdowns. He a lot less than that, but that's play calling and where they're calling you in from. But in sort of similar competition, you see he had a decent game against ECU. But yeah, like I said, similar production to him. A bigger guy too, 6'3", 238. Rocky is 6'5", 245. So similar type sizing, both 1-year guys. It does seem like they're targeting a specific type of tight end. They're not going after the high price tight end, the guy that's got 700, 800 yards, the premium guy. They're going after a reliable guy that's seen action, has been around for a while, knows how to operate, and can reliable. Like Rocky Beers, I think had 0 drops last year. And Riles
That's
here
good.
averaged
That's
13
good.
yards per catch. So a guy that can be dynamic, in an offense like Gus Malzahn wants to run.
Right.
So yeah, I think these are 2 good choices, and somewhere you're not going to have to break the bank to have a reliable tight end.
Let's get to this question from Mr. Dorfman, one of our loyal subs and viewers, and we appreciate that. If you're not a sub to the program, please take the opportunity to do that. You'll see when we're on, hit the bell, and you'll see when we're on. And we appreciate you guys. Isn't Pittman still officially on the roster? I don't have the roster in front of me. I guess I could pull it up, but I'm afraid I'm going to screw up my technical. Someone out there, one of our viewers, look it up. I know KB will get to it quickly. If he's still then he's still on the official roster, which means...
Oh, wait, no, sorry. It was Cash. So if you search it, you see his name, but no, he is not officially on the website anymore.
He's not on the Seminoles.com website.
No, so you'll be able to search his name. It'll show his listing in the Google results, but they've taken him off the website.
Okay. Well, then if he's not on the roster, then he's officially gone into the portal. And at this point, that doesn't mean he can't come back if the team wanted him to come back. And I think they probably would find a slot for him. But he's not right there now. So to bring in Mr. Beers, is probably a smart thing to do.
And I think, too, what they struggled with last year is they need, and it sounds crazy because you have Deuce Robinson, but Florida State struggled in the red zone in the back half of the year. And Rocky Beers is 6'5". That's another big red zone threat. He had 7 touchdowns last year.
That's a lot for a tight end.
Yeah,
that
and you got to think
a lot for a tight
end. And
end.
I'm not saying I watched a bunch of tape on Colorado State last year, but you like to have a tight end that's 6'5" that you could use in the red zone to catch the ball, not run it. I want to get away from the Randy Pittman running the ball in because we don't have.
I want a guy like Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Brady to Gronkowski. Gronkowski was so damn big, and he was agile, and obviously he wasn't the fastest guy in the league. Go back and look at his stuff, but he could box out these smaller defenders. Okay. And so if you get a guy who can do that and can block a little bit, and I can't believe a guy like Beers can't block some or can't be taught to at this point. It's hard to believe that.
Yeah.
It's smart to try to bring this guy in. And here's the good thing. Any of these guys that have come on campus, we have a shot at, or they wouldn't have brought them on.
Absolutely.
So if they can make the numbers match and they can attract them to what they're coming into, what their role would be, you have a chance at getting them. If they're not coming on campus, there's no chance of getting them, period.
Absolutely. No, totally agree with you on that. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But it definitely looks like they have a type that they're going after and a type that they want to go after. And I do think the red zone woes are playing into that a lot. I do think they want bigger.
Well, they have to fix that. KB, they have to. When you get done with the season and you scrub it all down, you are getting lots of yardage, but no points. So you have to figure out, why aren't we getting points, and how are we going to fix it? If you're not doing that and you're making $9 million a year as a head coach, there's something wrong.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And I'm looking at some of his highlights now, and that's exactly kind of how they use them. They use a big threat.
He can
and that's
block
not to say,
out.
Yeah, and that's not to say Randy Pittman couldn't do that. I just think that Randy
Pittman
Pittman's
wasn't that size a guy. He wasn't that.
I was trying to think how big was Randy Pittman.
Randy Pittman
6'2", 235. So yeah, you're adding
smaller.
Yeah.
And
so
Landon Thomas is kind of that size. He's not as big as Beers.
Yeah. So I think this would be I would
Beers
like
is just a cool name. Everybody's going to like that. We want a beers. We want beers. We
Let's-
want beers.
Lance Thomas is a big guy. He's 6'4". He's a bit, I think you just gotta use him more, and that's but I think if you have those two, I would be happy with those two additions. Having Lance Thomas with a guy like Rocky Beers, his size and
And
his
you know
experience.
what? When you have Deuce Robinson, sometimes you just have to use a Deuce Robinson also as a decoy and start using some other guys too. You know?
if you have 3 6'4" plus guys on the field, if you were to have that, there would be you should have no excuses to not be able to get in the air, and that would be pretty cool. So
what is this? Dagby, we want Anthony Gonzalez. Who is he?
Is
Is he a tight end?
an old, well, if you're talking about the old Anthony Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. It doesn't matter. He's not on campus, so we don't worry about him. Period.
I would love to go back to the old tight end days of like an Anthony Gonzalez. But yeah, so that was from the January 3rd. But I think from the top 3 upside guys, Bryant Williams could be an immediate starter for Florida State. We gave up a lot of sacks last year. This guy gave up 0, but you could say quality competition. But he's 6'7", big guy, has a great 360 plus passing snaps last year, 0 sacks. It looks like he could compete for a starting spot.
What's concerning, KB? What's concerning is we've had. Tell me I'm wrong here, or somebody can tell me I'm wrong. We've only had 1 or 2 offensive linemen come for a visit so far. Is that correct?
Nate Pabst is the only one, I believe, and once again,
No,
I could be
yeah,
wrong.
Bryant Williams
Bryant Williams
from Louisiana and Pabst.
Pabst.
We've had 2. We need probably 8 or 9 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And these guys aren't from power 4 teams. Bowling Green and Louisiana. So there's no power 4 guys we're going to go after as offensive linemen.
It is surprising that they didn't have more offensive line visits set up early. Because these guys are going to get swallowed up. The guy, one of them, an all conference guy at North Texas, he already committed to Oklahoma State. A lot of these guys are going to get the offensive line guys are going to get swallowed up quickly. So it is kind of surprising.
Good ones are. Good ones are because they're so hard to find. Mark Dorfman, Pabst Blue Ribbon Beers. Pabst Blue Ribbon Beers.
Now, that's an NIL. That's an NIL package right there. Exactly. So let's talk about the visits from today. Today was very offensive heavy, it felt like. There's some strategy to the visitors you bring together. It was interesting that you had in the let's go into the first one that happened today. I want to go because Lagway was supposed to happen later tonight. So
keep
I think
it to the end of the program to hold people. No.
Anthony Calandria, sorry, I always miss it. From UNLV.
I love that name.
1 year left, 3,500 yards last year, 23 TDs, 649 rushing yards.
Cool. Yeah.
He kind of fits the mold of what you would think a Gus Malzahn offense would want. And having all the intangibles, have the mobility. It's the thing that scares me is that he already played at this level before. And I've said this. He started at
Virginia.
UVA, right? He started at Virginia, had turnover issues, took a step down, seemingly dominated that level. Now is trying to make the step back up in kind of his final year, right? Because he has, I believe, 1 year of eligibility left. Maybe 2. I could be wrong there, but I believe he only has 1 more year left. Regardless, I do get concerns with the interceptions, and I brought this up before. His kind of inaccuracies here, his QBR.
And he's not a big kid. He's not that big.
I don't see this as a major upgrade over Tommy. And the reason I don't want to go into this deeper is because he's already taken another visit. And this is another one where they're letting this guy go and take another visit to Wisconsin. So he's already wrapped up his visit with Florida State.
He's not going to Wisconsin.
Oh, sorry, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech.
Because Wisconsin signed Wisconsin signed Colton Joseph.
Yeah, you're right. So
he's gone.
That's another one off the board. That's another one off the board.
And the kid from JMU quarterback is going to South Florida, Central Florida. One of the two. Fans tell us
Central.
Yeah, Central. And he he put up good numbers at JMU in 2 years.
Yeah.
Big numbers.
But Calandria wrapped up his visit and is headed to Georgia Tech. I don't think if Florida State wanted it, well, it's either two things. I don't think they're necessarily sold on him. I'm not sold on him. Or the numbers they have been discussing maybe aren't where they want them to be. I think if he goes to Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech wants him, they're going to keep him. Just because they've developed they've had a better history the last couple of years of developing quarterbacks like Haynes King and honestly, right. Well, but they do have a shakeup in their staff and losing their quarterbacks and offensive coordinator to Florida, Buster Faulkner leaving, but he's, so I don't know. It just seems like if they wanted this guy, a quarterback being the cornerstone of this offense, they would have kept him on campus and tried to sew this thing up. That also goes into, like you said,
especially with quarterbacks, because they're going to start to filter out, and we're seeing that now.
And you don't want to get into a bidding war. These are the types of kids that could get into bidding war, and you can't afford for that to drag out for 3 or 4 or 5 days. But to your point, one of the other guys that we thought was on the board and had been rumored was Colton Joseph. He's already moved forward. He's going over to Wisconsin. I think what that points to is that I told you, and we talked about this, he was more of a mid-tier choice. He was going to be a cheaper choice for you, right? And I think his offer in going to Wisconsin speaks to that. Wisconsin's probably the best offer he was going to get, like at that level. Wisconsin's not a premier program right now in the Big Ten. They're an average Big Ten program. That's right. And that's probably the type of quarterback he is, and that's fine. But I think if Florida State wants to get back quick and win a lot of games last year, Colin Joseph wasn't going to be the answer for that. He was a play it safe pick. And I think that makes sense to the offer he chose. If Colin Joseph thought he was going to be highly prized, he would have you would have seen him go somewhere else. But I think this makes sense for him.
And the Wisconsin Badger offense is really it's kind of like Gus's. I mean, they like to run the ball. They like to be physical up front. They've had a decline in the last few years, and they don't throw that ball as much as some programs might want him to throw the ball. So it may be an interesting. I'm sure he's going to have to go there and compete, and there's no way to say he's the number one starter. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's a good choice for him, but I think it speaks to what his market value was right now, and right. I think it was a good pick for Florida State to hold off there. And I think it also speaks to I can't pronounce his name, but the quarterback we were just talking at UNLV. Calandria. The fact that Georgia Tech is interested in him, I think, is a positive sign. But also, I don't think more than kind of the mid-tier ACC type schools are probably going to look at him. You're not going to see higher than that. I don't think Miami's going to look at Calandria. I think his value is kind of capped at like the Georgia
Miami's
and stuff
been
like that.
Pretty quiet on the quarterback scene so far.
They're going after the top 2 in my mind. But
they could be waiting for these final 4 playoff teams, to settle in. Unless they think they're already in touch with somebody's agent, and they know if you see a Miami still waiting and waiting, their agent is in touch with somebody to say my guy's coming out, okay, and he'll be interested because Miami is like Texas A&M or Texas Tech. They got big money, and these players know that. These players know that.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. But in terms of
what about the guy we're not talking about yet that everybody's commenting on? Yeah. So let me flash this up, and you can get into this guy, DJ Lagway. Ever heard of him?
Yeah.
I'm kidding, of course, but. Mr. McMillan here, one of our regulars, says he'll be announced tomorrow as FSU's new quarterback. That could happen. I'm not going to say it isn't.
He is he has officially arrived on campus, they're saying. So he made it. He made it tonight.
Yeah.
And we've kind of touched on it. I don't think either of you thought it was a serious consideration for various reasons.
I think it's an emotional decision. A lot of our fans and it's like bringing back Jimbo. It's kind of we don't like, Gators and Miami coming into our program. But the reality is, can this kid play? If this player, and he seems to just be kind of lost right now. is can he use his legs to run effectively? And is his judgment good enough to deliver the football in a rush-happy Gus Malzahn offense? The rush, if we can rush the football like we did last year, it can take some pressure off of him. But I think he has abilities, and probably enough abilities you would think in this program to win 6 or 7 games. But there's a lot of people don't like what he did at Florida, even though he chewed us up in the final game of the season, right? Am I wrong? He chewed us up decently.
I think their running game chewed us up.
Well, Baugh ran like 200 and some yards, right?
Yeah.
But Lagway, depending how much money he wants, it's about performance. It's not about where he went to school, who he played with. Does he have the right attitude? Does he have the abilities to perform? He's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of football against high-level competition.
Yeah, and the issue is that typically against high-level competition, he hasn't always played the best. LSU last year, 5 interceptions.
He's inconsistent.
Mississippi State, 2 interceptions. Texas, he had 2 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. Texas A&M, 2 touchdowns, almost 250 yards. Georgia, 166 yards, not great. Kentucky, 3 interceptions. Against us, three touchdowns, 1 interception, 160 yards, but most of that was due to the running game. It was just dominating us. He really took a step back from his 2024 season, what most people thought was going to be, where he really was going to grow from. And I think that, but even that year, he had interception issues. And I think...
And he had some injuries last year as well.
This year, 16 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The year prior, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Threw for similar yards, 2,200 yards this year, 1,900 last year. It's tough. I think that, and what I had circled on the board was, it's either I like Deuce Knight as if you're high upside guy, but it's all potential. DJ Lagway is similar. Both were highly regarded recruits out of high school, 5-star, best of the best. Lagway, though, is a little bit smaller. Can be physical, absolutely. Strong guy, has some injury history, but strong guy, a little bit smaller, 2 feet smaller, or 2 inches smaller. But he has experience. And with that, these guys are ranked similarly, which take these rankings for what they are, but you're running out of time because quarterbacks are getting scooped up.
They're going to, the top 10 quarterbacks in the portal are going to get scooped up. They're not going to be around.
They already have. They already have. Brandon, all these guys are they're going places, and most of them won't be going to Florida State or be on campus for Florida State.
And let me tell you why. Because if I'm a quarterback coming to visit Florida State, or I'm a representative of one of these players, or a parent who cares about their kid, I'm asking, who is your offensive line? And what the answer is what? I have no clue. That's scary. That's freaking scary to know you don't have an offensive line in place and I'm going to be your quarterback. That's legitimately scary. Am I overblowing that, or is that fair? Is that a fair statement for me?
I think it's a little overblown because I think a lot of teams rebuild are rebuilding. Because a lot of teams don't have the same 5 starters coming back every single year.
Well,
that's just not how it is.
That's how you would have to sell it. You need to be at Florida State on their recruiting staff to be able to sell and spin that shit.
Unless you play at Clemson and you only recruit high school kids and don't use the portal. That's the only pitch there.
But you got to do the whole offensive line. I'm not trying to sound negative. It's scary. It's scary. And you're bringing in guys that played at Louisiana and Bowling Green. If I'm a quarterback, I don't want to just stand back there and have a jailbreak and get beat up on every play. That's tough tape to sell,
Yeah. Well,
but I understand. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. They're obviously not going to host him if they don't think, he could play for them, and he wouldn't be visiting if he wasn't serious either. That's both sides. He's not going to waste his time.
And Florida State's serious. because you bring a guy in, it's a long process. You're going to take him through an entire process. It's very time consuming for everybody. So they're interested in Lagway. And if they could make a deal for the right money, then he might be your quarterback.
And this kid can play. And like I said, Florida or not, this kid can make throws.
Yeah, we don't care about that
when
anymore.
he's good,
Yeah.
he can be great. When he's bad, he can be very bad.
He can be bad.
If he can put together and he can get his mechanics at times last year looked terrible, but he has all the tools to be great. And it's, can Florida State take him to the next level? The scary part is that we have a pretty much unproven quarterbacks coach, internal hire, a guy that hasn't been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And doesn't have this track record of building quarterbacks up to be their best, which that would be the scariest part if I was DJ Lagway. If I'm DJ, I have to prove to the NFL that I am an NFL quarterback, because I haven't done that in 2 years. Am I going to trust my development to Austin Tucker, who nobody in the industry knows? No offense to
Who
Austin,
hasn't coached quarterbacks before.
who hasn't coached who's coached receivers
and wasn't a quarterback.
and that would be scary to me. And no offense to Tucker, but he just hasn't had that experience that you can show me on his resume.
That's fair. That's a fair statement. And you know what? Even Tucker would, if he was on this program, would have to admit it's a fair question.
But I mean, if this is our best choice right now, I think you got to risk it on DJ, because I think he has upside. You know what his bottom is. You know what the floor is with DJ, but you know what the upside could be if he hits his potential. And I think that could be 8 or 9 wins if he hits his potential. And that, because when you look at the QB board that's available now, your kind of safe picks, Colin Joseph, Calandria looks like he may be out of the mix because he's visiting Georgia Tech, and I don't think they're going to let him leave if they like him.
Byron Brown? He's not going to be around. The guy from JMU just committed.
The
so
quarterbacks
they're coming
fall
off the board.
But you look at below them, there's not. I mean, do you want the other guys that are on this list? Like most of these guys you haven't even heard of before. Like, and most of them are even getting picked up already. So I would take the risk on DJ. The biggest thing for me is, what is the number he wants? And I think that number is going to be a lot lower than that $2 million, because there's no way he's coming to Florida State expecting $2 million. I think the offers, he's not getting the offers maybe people thought he was going to get. I think he, due to his performance, is having to take a little bit of a step back and say, I need to rebuild my reputation somewhere, and my number is not what it was when I first came out of high school. And I think that's fair. And that's why Florida State is now in play.
Would you rather have DJ or would you rather have Knight out of Auburn?
I mean, that's the biggest question for me. And I still,
because there's a big difference in reps on the field. You know what I mean?
There is. I would honestly, if I'm Mike Norvell and I feel like I have nothing to, you do have something to lose, your job, but I would go with Deuce Knight. I just think he fits Gus Malzahn and what he wants to do, and he's a blank slate, essentially. I would go with Deuce. I just think DJ may have, I don't know, some bad habits that you may not be able to fix. And with Deuce, he's a younger guy that you could maybe mold or better mold and how you want to develop him as a quarterback. That would be me. But I would take either at this point. I think if you don't land either of these two, you may be in a lot of trouble. You may be in a lot of trouble on who is left in the next week by Friday of next week.
Well, then you'd have to pretty much hand the ball to Kevin Sperry and take your chances. And 100%. Most people would never realize to say, well, Florida State's never started a freshman quarterback before. Not true. Not true. During my time in Florida State football history, as a student or as a alum observer and listener and going to games, there was a young man named Chip Ferguson under Bobby Bowden, and I'll let everybody look it up. Chip Ferguson was the first true freshman to start, but there was no NIL, obviously. First true freshman to start for Florida State, and actually had a pretty good career at Florida State. Chip Ferguson.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And Spartan Knoll, yeah, he's thinking too, just with me. Chip Ferguson. And just Florida State. Listen, I know everybody, all they think about is Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis. I get it. Jordan did a lot for the university. I get it. But Florida State has a history of very effective and very good and excellent quarterbacks until most recently. Okay? A lot of them came through the Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. After that, the thing kind of went off the edge. Yeah. All right? And but you can go way back, and I can name a lot of those quarterbacks. And we would get the number one ranked quarterback in the country a lot of times. We were always getting a top 5 quarterback in the country, ranked nationally. Yeah. No NIL. Okay? And then occasionally we'd get some guy you'd never heard of. There was a quarterback named Bill Kappelman. I think he played at Dunedin High School. I went to Largo High School and lived in Clearwater. Bill Kappelman came out of, I believe, Dunedin High School back in the late 60s, maybe early 70s. A dynamic. These were pure drop back passers, KB. They weren't they'd scramble a little bit, but they were pure drop back guys who would get back there and deliver the ball. All right? And just, so Florida State needs to get back to, the question is, where does Kevin Speary end up in all of this? Is he willing to stay and compete one more year to see what's going to happen? Yeah. Because, a kid wants to try. He's got to get some reps. He can't come out of this dust any more than the number 2 quarterback. True. So if somebody gets hurt, bam, he's in. True. If you can't assure him of that, then he could, I don't know where he's going to go. He has no tape, Yeah. So I think he's locked in. But, why not go to Kevin Speary if you have that much confidence in him and say, listen, you're number 2, period. Yeah. Period. We are going to bring a guy in, but if that guy gets hurt, you're the guy. Yeah. You got to do something, right?
Yeah. I think that would be expected, but yeah, I think he would have popped in if that conversation was
okay. So the bottom line on DJ Lagway, if they brought him to Spartan Hill, said Ricks was also he was a redshirt freshman. I believe Chip Ferguson was a true freshman. Is if they brought DJ Lagway in, they're interested.
Yeah,
they're interested. 100%. And if they could cut a deal before he walks off campus, they're going to do it, unless he says, I'm going to visit a couple other schools, which I think would be normal.
Absolutely.
But as you said, KB, you don't want a guy walking off. If that's your guy, then make him your best deal. Yeah. Make him your best deal.
Absolutely. There's a couple more players I want to mention before we kind of wrap up here. 2 running backs. It looks like they're going to try to have on campus today. Yep. Not sure if they'll make it. One of them, I know it doesn't look like it's been confirmed if he made it today. His name is Travion Wisner from Texas.
That's the
guy.
One I didn't know if he'd shown up. I didn't see anything up to around 5 o'clock that he had shown up yet.
No, I had not seen anything yet. But this is apparently he's going to be set to be visiting Florida State and Ole Miss. So that tells you the quality of a kid like this and what kind of schools are looking at him. Once again, he took a step back production-wise because he was kind of competing with CJ Baxter. But last year, hell of a year. I believe he had over 1,000 yards last year. He had 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns in 2024. 2025, a little step back. But like I said, you see his numbers against Ohio State, 80 yards. Oklahoma, 94 yards. So Texas A&M, 155 yards. I mean, this would be your bell cow back. I would assume if they're still trying to land that one, and we've talked about that, how Gus Malzahn is looking for a bell cow back. I mean, this would be the guy in my eyes.
Well, he said he was looking for that last year too.
Yeah.
But we had like 7 guys going through the rotation.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. We've already talked enough about that. We don't want to kick that can anymore. I think. I was looking at the NFL a couple of games today, and they showed, the running backs on this team, they had 2 main running backs and a third. And that was it. They used 3 guys. We've got to get to this NFL model. The front office is going to NFL model. We need to start playing football NFL model wise. That's how guys go to the next level.
And I don't think they're looking to add 5 more running backs. They lost 5, and I think
We don't need 5
they're looking
more.
to add. They're looking to add one more
Okay,
to this group.
bring this-
and
yeah,
a dynamic one and a good one. So I think this this would be a huge grab. He's got 1 year, I believe, 1 or 2 years of eligibility left. I do believe he also played on special teams, so that would be an extra plus onto his resume for us. The other guy that they were looking to bring in was Zylan Perry from Louisiana. Also, I'm not sure if he got to campus today. If
I haven't
I'm not
heard
sure,
about
Old Man, if
him
you
at all.
heard
Yeah,
if he got to campus, but he was
No.
supposed to be visiting Tennessee, Florida State, and Central Florida. I believe he was last night at the University of Cincinnati. And so this is a guy, once again, that pretty dynamic kid at Louisiana, had production. They're looking, obviously, for guys that have some proven production.
That's what gets the job done. Proven production. We're not in the potential business.
Yeah. So 700 yards last year, obviously big step down from, the SEC and what you would get in the other player. But he's getting some good looks from some decent programs. I think obviously the price tag with this guy is a little bit different than what you would be looking at with Travion Weisner. But this would be I would say if you do get him on campus, this would maybe be a backup option from what we've discussed. But you could see big games against Missouri, 86 yards, a touchdown. But yeah, it's a big drop down. But interesting to see if they'll get him on campus. But by all reports, they are looking to get a third running back in this room, and the running back that is not upside is proven production.
Yeah, it
and
makes
has
sense.
proven ability.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
And then with 3 guys, you can get 3 guys the ball enough to keep them hungry. I guess Smothers, he went in a different direction, correct?
He moved in a different direction, and he decided,
anybody they bring to campus, anybody Florida State brings to campus, they're interested in doing a deal with, period. They're interested, okay? They unless they say, hey, this guy's a real jerk, we don't see him fitting in. It's an interview for both, but they are obviously very interested in anybody they can get on campus. If you can't get a guy on campus, you're not going to sign him.
One thing I want to bring up with the difference between these two backs, and something you complained about a lot last year, is that I think Weisner is considered more of a physical big back, a guy that can also, he's 6 foot, almost 200 pounds. He's kind of regarded as he can be a physical goal line type back potentially that maybe Florida State is looking for as well, because we did struggle at 4th and 1 on 3rd and 2. We really couldn't move the rock at that, and that's something I know that you've complained and brought up about a good amount. And I think the guy out of Louisiana is more Zylan Perry is more seen as an explosive back. So it'll be interesting to see which of the two they prioritize, if it's one or the other in terms of the trait. But I do think that it'll be interesting to see which one they get.
We thought Cromar might handle that role as that big back, short distance, but a guy can also burst it. That didn't really work out in that design. Yeah. So I think they do need a guy who can get that 4th and 1, 4th and 2, whether it's in the red zone or outside the red zone. I mean, they've just suffered there. And if not, go find some rugby player out in Australia. Bring that guy in as a specialist. I mean, you see some of those guys.
I don't know about that. I think
some
the
of those
NFL's
guys?
tried that. NFL's tried that a couple of times. It hasn't worked out.
No, they didn't try it at running back, I don't think, for a short yardage guy.
I think they tried it for a line. The guy was a linebacker.
I mean, Australia is producing these Australian punters. They have schools and academies for that shit.
Yeah.
You would think they'd have a short distance guys, that can just, you ever see those guys on YouTube? They bang into each other.
Yeah.
They run the ball. It's like, where's that come from?
Yeah. But to speak of, you were talking about offensive linemen. There is another one that is supposed to come tomorrow. If you guys haven't heard, the kid out of Troy, he's got 3 years remaining. His name is Paul Bowling. He's expected to visit tomorrow. I'll pull up his grades right now. He has experience, 6'4", 315, big guy. Obviously with those dimensions. You can see here 1 year. He only has 1 year. He played as a freshman. Not fantastic
Yeah.
grades.
Bargain basement, buddy.
But
That's bargain basement.
You need a new center. You need a new center.
You need depth. You need the Rizzies. You need a Rizzy. You need 2 or 3 Rizzies.
Yeah, and I think what you're hoping is that, you lost, Pettibon, obviously. You're hoping Sandman will be your new center, and this guy potentially, if you like him.
Did you ever hear that phrase? Hope is not a plan.
Okay, well,
did you ever hear that?
Christ. No, I haven't.
Hope is not a plan.
Well, speak to Mike Norvell about that. But yeah, I think the plan would be that Sandman comes in, he starts, and replaces Pettibon, and then this guy or whoever, he could be the emergency backup, as he's still kind of developing. But at least he's a guy that has time. He's played before. It may not be great, but he had to play his freshman year, and he played every game they had, and he gave 3 sacks his freshman year. But he wasn't playing, FCS and gave up 5 sacks. This kid, he played Clemson, gave up no sacks. He gave up, James Madison gave up 2 sacks, not great. But he's played some decent competition, and hopefully he can continue to develop under Herb Hand. And that's what I respect. I respect Herb Hand's evaluation. If he thinks this guy could be a backup piece that could develop into rotational in case Sandman goes down, hell yeah, let's go after it.
I think the position coach is really going to have a big influence when he's trying to get a guy. I mean, a big part of these coaches' jobs, obviously, is to recruit players and get them on board. That's a big piece of what they're held accountable for. And I think Herb Hand can look at a guy and probably say, I want this guy to play for me, because that's what he's saying. I'm going to be held accountable. My job's at stake. This guy, I believe, can get the job done. Absolutely. This guy can get the job done
if called upon. I don't think he's expecting him to be a starter, but
no, he'll know what the role is for the guy.
Exactly. And the final guy I want to talk about, because I think people are excited about this, and it's a big position need, is Chris Jones, a guy out of Southern Miss, supposed to be visiting tomorrow. This is the guy that has a couple of years of experience underneath his belt. Started his freshman year, I believe. This year made a big jump, as you can see in his production grades. Once again, lower level of competition. Trend that we're seeing, as we talked about. We won't be redundant on that. But in terms of his statistics, he had 5 sacks, 17 total tackles for loss, I believe. Just the 5 sacks alone is huge. That stands out for me. But he had a big year for himself, a productive linebacker. We're looking for linebackers that can tackle, and they can be physical, and they can be productive, and they can hit the hole when they need to. I think he fits that mold, and we need more of those guys, especially when you're losing Omar Graham. So I don't know if this is a direct replacement for Omar Graham, but it's someone that has production and has a couple of years that he can continue to grow within the role potentially. And I think they're kind of excited for this kid if they can get him on campus. And I think
part of the problem too. Yeah, I agree. He's affordable. Part of the problem is still we're hearing the chatter that Ernie Sims is going to be the next linebacker coach. Expected. Yeah. How long does it take to make a decision on Ernie Sims? Okay. Yeah. I believe in Ernie Sims. Yeah. Not only was an outstanding linebacker at Florida State, had an outstanding career in the NFL. The guy knows how to teach technique. Now, can he recruit? I don't know. That's the big difference. You can't tell me Ernie Sims doesn't know how to play the linebacker position. Yeah. That doesn't even a concern. Can he recruit? But how long is it going to take this administration and the general manager to say, we got to make a decision here? We're bringing in guys that we can't even introduce a linebacker coach because we haven't officially said it. I don't see anything as official unless it's on Seminoles.com. Period. I don't care if it's on 24/7 or War Chant or this crystal ball. If it's not on Seminoles.com, it is not official.
Agreed.
Now you people, the viewers will say, well, the old man, he's just rigid as hell.
Well, that's
No,
true.
but it's
That's
not.
true. That's true.
I'm not going to put out stuff that Ernie Sims is your next linebacker coach when we don't know that.
Yeah. I think Chris Jones, like you said, they need to get a linebackers coach and they need to sign him. Guys, he was the leading tackler all conference last year. A leading tackler, 133 tackles is hard to replicate.
We need
no
to
matter the conference.
strengthen that room. We need to
yeah.
strengthen the room. Whether he's a starter
He's
or
a
he
high
comes
floor
in
player.
rotation.
A high floor addition to that room,
Okay.
and that middle of
Okay.
that defense is important, and they need to sign him regardless.
Okay.
So to sum up that, we got to close on a QB. They got to decide, is it a high floor player or a high ceiling player? Lagway's the high ceiling player, and Calandria or somebody else is a safer lower floor or a higher floor type of player. I think they got to decide what they want to do there.
Okay.
And then
And listen, we've got two guys. We've got Dorfman. Mark is saying Sims is done. It's done, and I don't know. Maybe I'm reading the wrong stuff or I'm living in a cloud
because once again, you're waiting for the website.
He's saying it's done.
I
No, but the website is the official word. You know what? If the website is late, which you just maybe suggested, that's piss poor about your organization. If I'm the general manager, I'm going to put out to the website, Ernie Sims is the new linebacker coach. I'm not trying to it could be anybody. It could be a player. That thing should be updated according to the standard and the policy of the university and this football program or any of the rosters. I can't stand it when something is late. If Ernie Sims is the linebacker coach, then put it out. Official. Ernie Sims is the guy. He's not listed as an assistant anymore. And I could be wrong, and I'll eat anything that I'm wrong. Okay? So I appreciate our viewers. Dorfman and them saying it's done. If you're right, I'll eat that. Okay? All right. And McMillan is saying the same thing. So we appreciate it, you guys. That's what we do here. We interact. We interact as a fan base. What our program's all about. That's the difference.
All right, there we go. So like I said, pick a quarterback, get a quarterback, sign them. Big priority this week. Secure the tackle spots. Bryant Williams, Nate Pabst.
So you
Get
think
those guys.
Florida State has 7 days to get this quarterback thing done?
Yes.
Well, let's end the program. We've had Calandria and Lagway in. That's it. Correct?
Correct.
And we have no other visits that have been announced that I'm aware of by a quarterback. Correct?
Not that I'm aware of. No. I could be wrong. I could be
I don't know what to take out of that.
Well, you can't be hosting like a party of 15 quarterbacks. That's a little weird. But I also
we're going to be in 2026. We could be a team of rehabs. We're trying to get everybody's career rehabbed up for a budget basement price, and maybe that's the theme.
One we also didn't talk about, I don't think, is Ashton Daniels supposed to be coming to visit Florida State? Yes, Ashton Daniels is visiting Florida State.
Okay, yeah.
That is one that I forgot to mention. So, and that's another high ceiling potential, but a lower floor because this kid hasn't really played that I know of. I think Ashton Daniels,
not much. He has not logged that many miles.
So once again, if you're going to go in that direction, I'd rather go in the Deuce Knight direction, which probably is expensive. But I don't know if Ashton Daniels is. I think Ashton Daniels is maybe the emergency option. He's like Lagway. He's 6'2", 219.
I don't think he sees himself. Oh, you mean as we can't get anybody else?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be my first selection of who we've had necessarily, just because he doesn't have. I mean, he has. Last year he was banged up to play, but 2 years ago at Stanford, he had 2,200 yards. But once again, this guy has turnover issues. We can't invest this into. Once again, same thing with Calandria. They both have turnover issues. We can't keep doing this. That's why I don't like Calandria. I don't like all these guys have turnover issues, which is probably why they're looking for new homes. But I don't know.
Maybe they have quarterback coaches who have never played the position.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I
don't
just
know.
I would not go in this direction. I would definitely not. This would be his third school, which I know is kind of like the norm now. But I would not go in this direction. Honestly, I don't like this. I mean, I'm not in love with this guy necessarily.
Okay. Woo, 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 woo. Here we go. Here we go.
DJ, stay away from anyone, DJ.
But better yet, Mr. McMillan. Mr. McMillan.
There you
He's
go.
just hit. Hang on a minute.
Appreciate that.
We
Appreciate
got a
that.
little technical thing here.
What are you doing?
I'm
Just,
trying to.
just put it up. That's
Where the hell is it? There it is.
Stop
Okay.
clicking it. Just stop
No,
clicking it. Oh my god.
Okay. Mr. McMillan, one of our loyal guys going way back since the beginning of this program. Look at that. We appreciate that, man.
Appreciate it.
We
Appreciate
definitely appreciate. We appreciate you guys. You know.
Yeah.
We're not a show that begs for money or anything, but we do appreciate that. We pour it into some of our faulty equipment at times, or maybe me.
No,
you
the faulty
know.
brain. That it's on you.
No,
Don't blame the
but
equipment.
we appreciate that. Bill McMillan always comes in and gives us some good insights. Everybody does. We've really had a lot of people join the family here, and we appreciate it. But Mr. McMillan, we
Yes,
definitely
thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you. I think people are concerned about the quarterback situation. I mean, it's
should
the
be.
most important on the field. And I have to say that I follow that with the offensive line. And then there's other positions of concern.
Yeah.
But I think that we've had some funny comments in here. I think it was Tomcat was saying, "Oh man, how long have you watched this program the last 9 years?" Hey, listen, Tomcat. And then I said, "Yeah, I've been listening and watching since 1965. He goes, "Damn, I was born in 65. I've been around this program a long time. I've seen a lot of players come and go, more so in the last, since NIL showed up, right?
Yeah.
Guys used to come in and stay 4 or 5, 4 years mainly. It was 4 years, maybe a fifth. But yeah, it's changed so much for me in the last few years. It's incredible. Incredible. Yeah. But you know what? You have to change with it. Like the technology. If I didn't play with some of this technology that KB jumps on me about all the time and do this, do that, I wouldn't be able to do the program. And I love this too much. And I love doing the program with KB. And I love doing it with you fans. So for us, it's pure enjoyment. It's fun. And we love Florida State football. We're never going to go away from Florida State football. But you guys are the best out there. But everybody is concerned, KB, as you know, about who we're going to bring in, and that it's been kind of slow now. I mean, we're kind of rolling kind of slow.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, now let me say this, a guy could enter, let's say it ends the 16th, he could enter on the 14th. He doesn't have to have a job by the 14th. He doesn't have to have a position on the team or any team by the 14th. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
I hope everybody else understands that. So guys still on our roster could jump into the portal if they haven't signed their next deal.
Yep.
And again, I want to see more deals. I'm hoping the new general manager who has NFL, a front office experience, I want to see contracts that have a lot of incentives in them. And whether it's 1 year or 2 year, I don't think a 3-year deal makes sense. 1 to 2 years, 2 years makes sense to me, is a lot of incentives. Now, they were talking about who's that guy for the Tennessee Titans? He played at Miami. Cam Ward. He had played every snap for the Titans this year, except he got hurt on the field and his shoulder was in a sling after a few series. He had played every snap. A lot of players, that's one of the incentives. The number of snaps you play. Obviously, your grades, and all of this stuff. I think that is the future of a lot of these contracts. I'd love to see a couple of these contracts and what they say. That would be a blast. Yep. If anybody has a contract they can send to us leaked, hey, as journalists, we can send it out there.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about it. We wouldn't say who it was, but we'd do it. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
So enough.
All right. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it.
Hey,
For...
the last thing.
Well, sorry. There's one more guy. I wanted to mention that.
Okay, but a
about.
Dagby said portal of 4,000. I don't know what the number is, but it's huge. The number of people in the D1 portal right now, it's incredible number.
The last guy I wanted to mention that Florida State was excited to get on campus, and he's expected to campus, I believe. He's an IMG kid from Bradenton, Jarvis Lee. He's supposed to come in for a visit. DB from USF. Once again, they're trying to reload this DB room.
Read that.
And I think they're trying to improve the performance of the DB room through production. And I think this is
well, you got a new DB coach, so obviously he's interested, right?
I also think this is a nod that they don't believe in some of the younger guys that they have in the room. You know, guys like Kai Bates is gone, so I think they may have told him to go. Charles Lester, I don't know if he's ready to go. So this will be, year 3 for him. But the fact that they're going hard at DBs, Ricky Knight, you lost Jerry Wilson. You did lose a good amount of DBs, so it does make sense. You're going after a lot of guys. But they're going after guys for production, and Jarvis would be a highly productive kid that you would like to sign. If you can, because once again, I think he would add a lot of talent to the room. And he's played against high quality competition, in my opinion. So he's a guy that you don't let visit other places once he's on campus. That is a mistake.
I heard he was being sought by other people as well.
Absolutely, 100%. 100% he was. So this is a kid, like I said, you got to keep on campus and sign.
He's played good competition. He's played good competition.
Yeah, and he's had some good games, had some bad games, but you like a kid with experience and that you could have for multiple years potentially. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll keep you apprised of that when we do our next show. Anything you want to talk about or bring up?
No, I keep a list also, KB, of guys for retention that are on this roster from 25 that I think are important, and we've already talked about them, and we'll keep track. Obviously, Deuce Robinson and getting Jabril Rawls back. That's probably the number one guy on the defense and the offense. You needed those. If you can keep Earl Little in there for another season, I think Earl Little is going to be on this football team. His draft status wasn't that great. I don't think he's going to go into the portal. I think he wants to stay home and play with these guys. I think they'll give him satisfactory money. I think that's good. Landon Thomas, I think that's good to keep him on this football team. There's other guys, but we haven't heard from those other guys because they haven't said anything about leaving. So there's a lot of other guys on this football team that are good pieces, okay? Yeah. And the more pieces we can retain, the better, that were productive pieces, or have shown enough potential that can start making contributions. That's all.
Absolutely. And so then I expect a lot of guys to be dropping in on Florida State that we may not hear about, that may not be fully public, and they'll just kind of find out when they're on campus. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week now that holidays are behind us, New Year's behind us, and things are in full swing. So
I'll be honest. I'll be honest a little bit that this team that needs a complete, pretty much rebuild of 22 to figure out who the 22 starters are. It's been a little slower than I thought.
I don't think that's true. I don't necessarily think that's
really true. We have one guy so far, except for the guys we retain.
You want the right guys. You want the right guys.
Okay, but you got a lot of pieces.
You can't just bring in 35 guys to visit the same day.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying. I thought, in my opinion, it's been a little slower than I thought because we need. I don't even say several
it's been
times.
Open 2 days. What did you think? 9 guys were going to commit on day 2?
Well,
what did you expect?
Yeah, based on the chatter, a lot of talk has already taken place with guys. So it's kind of like if you get them on campus, that's the next step.
How do you know a lot of chatter had taken place with?
I just go across social media, and that's where I hear it.
Right. Well, I think you need to check your sources. I don't necessarily think.
I don't necessarily have one source. I'm just saying across the media. All right.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, I would expect things to.
I
heat
hope
up
you're
this week.
right.
And I
I
said
hope you're
I
right.
already gave you my top 3. They got to secure a quarterback this week. They got to secure those tackles this week, and I think those linebacker Chris Jones should be a priority this week. And we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, stay tuned. Like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when our next show. We'll obviously probably have a show Tuesday, kind of a day 5 check-in, day 6 check-in. Or if there's any huge commitment news, we'll obviously give our analysis on that. And we'll kind of group those together. But yeah, stay tuned on us. We appreciate y'all's comments, y'all feedback.
We should have a quarterback on this roster in the next 7 days. Do you think that's fair?
Yes. I'd be concerned if we don't. I would be very concerned if we don't. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
maybe the quarterback and 2 offensive tackles.
I just said that. I said my next week my goal is get those tackles, get the quarterback, and get the linebacker.
Fair enough.
That's my goal for the next.
And
week.
if that doesn't happen, you'll be on the panic side like me.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we'll see what they do. We'll see what new visits get scheduled and who they can keep on campus. The more people that leave campus, the less likely, obviously, you are to sign them. So, yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for the chats. Thanks for the comments. Thanks to the donations, McMillan. We appreciate it. And, yeah, we'll see you guys next week for our next kind of check-in on the transfer portal. So stay tuned. And, as always, go Noles. Have a great week next week, guys.
And I'm going on the phone right now. I'm going on the phone right now. My Florida State phone. When's the last time you saw one of those bad boys?
We'll see you guys. Take care, everyone.
Seminoles